Greetings to you and thanks for being a part of this our live stream. Welcome to our virtual classroom. We're expecting that you should already be able to be creating documents, saving your documents, editing the documents, being able to save changes to your documents. You should also be able to format your documents. Remember that after creating, we edit to make sure that what we have created is what we actually wanted to create. Then we need to format. Format means arranging such that it looks good. Today, we're going to see how to perform calculations in Excel. Remember that we have said our Excel is made up of spreadsheets, and our Excel workbook permits us to perform calculations and analyze data. So we're going to see how to perform calculations in Excel today. Without any waste of time, let's get onto our PC and see how to pull this off. Now onto our PC. This is our Excel workbook. Our Excel workbook, like we said, contains spreadsheets. And our spreadsheets, we can move from one spreadsheet to another using the spreadsheet tabs that we have at the bottom of our screen. Again, remember that our Excel workbook looks not different from our word processor window. It contains the ribbon. On the ribbon, we have tabs. These tabs have different group of tools, and these are the tools that will permit you to perform operations in Excel. And we said if you want to think of a tool, then you have to think of what spanners, screwdrivers helps a mechanic in a workshop to do. Or you think of what needles, threads, scissors will help a tailor to do. That's exactly what tools in computers will help you to do. Now, this is your Excel tools. These tools are grouped together. You can think of it as having similar group of tools being placed in a particular position in your workshop. You have the clipboard group of tools, the font group of tools found on the home tab. Now, if I go to the insert tab, I will have different group of tools. Now, with these group of tools, these are the things or the tools that I will use to perform controls in my worksheet. Now, below this group of tools, we have the name box. The name box will tell you the cell in which you find yourself. Remember that we said Excel spreadsheets are made up of vertical columns and horizontal rows. And where a vertical column and a horizontal row intersects, we call it a cell. And cells in Excel constitute the building block of an Excel worksheet. So it is in cells that we type. A group of cells make up a worksheet, and a group of worksheets will make up a workbook. So it means that each workbook will contain one or several worksheets, and a worksheet will display many cells, and therefore you enter data into cells. We also said that when a vertical column and a horizontal row intersects, we give the name of that cell beginning by identifying the column. Columns are identified by letters A, B, C, D, E, and so on, while rows are identified by numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So we say this is the cell B7. Look at the name box. It gives you B7, meaning the cell in which column B and row 7 intersects. That is exactly the meaning of B7. Now, beside or after the cell B7, we have the formula box. The formula bar is where your formula will appear or the content of a cell will appear. So if I click on a cell, its content will be displayed in the formula bar. Remember that the content of a cell is different from the name of that cell. The name of this cell is B9, meaning that's where column B and row 9 intersects. And the content of that cell is ham. That's why ham appears in the formula bar. After the formula bar, we have active cells. When a cell is active, you have this dark border around it. That tells you that that's an active cell. In our previous lesson, we saw how to manage our workspace. We said in order for us to be able to manage our workspace, we should be able to add, remove, or rename worksheets. For you to add, remove, or rename a worksheet, you need to take your mouse pointer to the worksheet that you desire to either delete or rename. You right-click on it. When you right click on it, a drop down menu will appear. On the drop down menu that appears, you can insert a new tab. You can insert a new worksheet, or you can delete a worksheet. You can rename a worksheet. You can copy or move a worksheet. You can also do various controls, like even change the color of the worksheet. For you to also add a worksheet, you can use this plus tool to the right of your sheet. You can as well click on it and a worksheet will appear. When a worksheet is added, that permits you to be able to manage your workspace. We said also you should be able to change the height. For you to change the height of one or more rows, you need to take your mouse pointer to where the row is separated from another row. Remember that rows are identified by numbers. Numbers 1, 2, 3. So if I want to change the height of row 3, then I'll click on 3. When I click on 3, I will see where 3 and 4 is separated. Now I will take my mouse pointer to the boundary between 3 and 4. When my mouse pointer now changes, I will go to click, hold and drag in the direction that I desire to adjust the height. In the same way, I can adjust the width of my columns. And remember that in adjusting the width of our columns, we take our mouse pointer to the boundary between two columns. We click, hold and drag there. That said, we should also be able to remove one or more rows, and we can as well insert more rows. If I right click on a column, a drop down menu will appear. With this drop down menu, I can either cut, copy, insert a new column, delete a column, clear the contents and so on. In the same way, I can do the same for my rows. If I right click on a row, the same things will appear. And today we're going to see how we can perform calculations in Excel. Well, we can enter one of three data types in Excel. In Excel's terminology, text is referred to as a label. So we can enter labels. We can also enter values. Values include numerical data. You should be able to differentiate between values and labels. And we can enter formula. Take note of this. And to enter a formula, when you want to tell Excel that you are entering a formula, you must begin with an equal to sign. And when we are entering data, we need to click in a cell where we desire to enter the data. And remember that if you click in a cell that already contains data, if you start entering data, then you are going to override the existing data. If you want to edit data that is found in a cell, then you're going to click twice. You're going to double click. Remember, double clicking means clicking twice using your left mouse button in quick succession. Right, let's go on to our lesson of today. You should receive this file with the name T1 Formula. You should also receive a PDF file calculating with spreadsheets. That's T1 calculating with spreadsheets. These are the two files that we're going to be using in our lesson today. We have been asked to open the file T1 Formula. We have opened the file T1 Formula. We have been asked to switch to the tab orders. Now let's check out to be sure that we are on the tabs orders. We are on the tab orders. Now the next thing that we have been asked to do is to adjust the width of column A so the item descriptions fit okay. Let's go to column A and see how to adjust the width for the item's description to fit okay. Now let's check out column A. When we check out column A, you notice that the items in column A, there are some of the items that we are not able to see well. So we have to adjust the width of our column A such that the items fit well for us to see. Let's go ahead and do that. We go ahead and we click, hold and drag until we are able to see all the items in columns A very well. Now I can see the items in column A very well. I have all the items now displaying well. So I've done the first exercise and it's okay. Let's check out the second exercise. It says in cell D4, use a formula to calculate the cost based on the price in B4 and the quantity in C4. Now let's go ahead and check that out. We are asked to put a formula in cell D4 where the column D and the row 4 intersects. That is the cell in which we find ourselves. And we are asked to perform this calculation based on the price in cell B4 and cell C4. We are going to begin entering our formula with an equal to sign. Let's enter an equal to sign here. I'll put equal to sign. When I put equal to sign, Excel knows that whatever is coming next is a formula. We are not going to put the value that we find as price in cell B4. Remember, if we put 5, is going to also give us a result. But that is not what we want to do. We're going to put the cell reference. Cell reference will permit us to be able to copy formula across other cells. Let's go ahead and use cell reference. I'll say equal to B4 times C4. When we say B4 times C4, we are saying that let Excel perform a simple multiplication in cell D4 by multiplying the value in cell B4 and the cell C4. Remember, we are using cell references here. When that is done and it's okay, we're going to hit on enter. When I hit on enter, it gives you the answer 20. When the answer is 20, that is okay. That is quite done for us. Now check out what happens. When I select this cell D4 now, the cell D4 is active because we have the dark border around it. Now check out the formula bar. The formula bar gives us the formula that we entered into cell D4, but yet it is the result that is displayed in D4. All right, hope that sinks and you've learned something there. Let's go ahead. We have been asked to use autofill to fill this formula down to row 10. Let's go ahead and do this. In cell D4, we are asked to enter to autofill this formula down to cell D10. Autofill, for us to autofill, it means we have to copy this formula. That means that while we have entered this formula here, we should not enter this formula again here. We should not enter again here and again and again and again and again. Now we are going to copy the formula. Observe how we're going to do this. For us to realize this, I'm going to select cell D4. When cell D4 is selected, I take my mouse pointer to the bottom left of the dark border that appears around cell D4. When my mouse rests at the bottom, it changes to this crosshair. When it changes to this crosshair, it means that I'm now ready to copy the formula across. I'm now ready to use autofill. Now I'll go ahead, click, hold and drag in the direction that I desire. Then when I reach cell D10, I'll release. When I release, check out that. Notice that actually it has performed the calculation down to cell D10. Let us select cell D10 and see the formula that is found on cell D10. When I click in cell D10, now this is cell D10. Now check out the name bar. In the name box, we have D10 displayed there. It means that we have selected cell D10. Now when cell D10 is selected, go up to the formula bar. In the formula bar, check out the formula that appears there. The formula that appears there is B10 times C10. We did not enter B10 and C10 at any level, but now we have D10, B10 and C10 appearing in our cell D10. That is exactly what the autofill handle does. When you autofill and you're going downwards, that is how the number, that is how the row number is also changing. It knows that you are copying a formula, and so when you are in cell D10 here, it is actually giving you the response, the subtotal for the price times the quantity of the West bin. When we are in cell D7, it's actually giving us the result of the price times the quantity for envelopes in packs. And that is exactly what it is. You can go ahead and check that out using a normal calculator. Multiply 6.75 times 6 and you're going to have 40.50. You do the same for the other cells and you have the same result. Let's go ahead and check out our next exercise. Our next exercise says in column F, calculate the total price by subtracting the discount from the subtotal. Note, the discount is pre-calculated using conditional functions. Now let's go ahead and check out this. We are asked now to calculate the total that our client would pay. Our client has a discount based on the products that they are buying. Now for A4 paper in reams, our client is going to pay 20, but then he has no discount. But for elastic bands, he has a discount of 8.80. Now we are going to go ahead and check how to remove the discount from the subtotal. This is a simple subtraction. We're going to enter an equal to sign before we put the cell reference. Remember, we are going to be using cell references because with cell references, it will permit us to autofill. If I put in equal to 20 minus 0 and I press enter, the answer is going to give me 20. But that is not what I want, because if I copy this formula across downwards, look at what happens. The answer remains 20. That is because even in cell F10, the formula is still 20 minus 0. That is not what we are going to do. So I'm going to hit on the undo button. When I hit on the undo button, we're going to now enter equal to sign again. When I enter the equal to sign, I'm going to use cell reference. The reference of this cell, we are going now to assume that maybe we don't know the reference of the cell. If you are using Excel and you don't know the reference of a cell, then you're going to click on the cell when your equal to is already entered. When I've entered my equal to, I can just click on this cell. I want to subtract this cell from this other cell. Look at that. I've just selected the cells and the cell references appear in my formula. Just by selecting this cell, it gave me D4. That means this is a cell D4, the cell where the column D intersects with the row 4. And this is the cell E4. So we are subtracting D4 from E4. That's a simple subtraction. Let's hit enter and see how that will turn out. We hit enter and we still have the 20. Remember that we had 20 when we used the numbers, the values 20 and 0. We still have 20. But let's autofill this and see how it will turn out. I'm going to use my mouse pointer. When it changes to this black crosshair, I can now click, hold and drag to autofill my formula. I've copied my formula across, and now check this out. Check out cell, this value in G3. G3 tells me that it's okay. Wow, that means we have had that correctly. Look at what appears in G3. It means that there is still work that needs to be done. In G3, we have a formula that is going to check whether our answer here is correct, and if it is correct, it will tell us okay. So you have to go ahead and practice until you have okay to in cell G3. So go ahead and do that practice. I've used autofill. It has performed the calculations. When I click in cell F10, we now have the formula D10 minus E10, and that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. We also have okay here. That means our result is in order. Now let's go to the next exercise and see what we're going to realize there. In exercise 2, we have been asked to switch to the sandwiches tab. Switch to the sandwiches tab. We're going to switch to the sandwich tab and see. We have been asked to switch to the sandwich tab. For us to switch to a tab, we take our mouse pointer to that tab and click. When we click on that tab, remember that this tab or this sheet, this a worksheet, when we switch to the sandwiches worksheet, it contains different set of data. And this set of data is different from the others tab. On the others tab that contains the others sheet is different from what is found on the sandwiches sheet. Now in the sandwiches sheet, let's check out the exercises that we've been asked to perform. We've been asked that in cell C18, let's create a formula to calculate the cost of the sandwich white bread with cheese. It means that we're going to calculate the cost of having a sandwich of white bread and cheese, and that should be shown in B18. Let's go ahead and see that in cell C18. In the cell C18, this is cell C18. We've been asked to calculate the price of a sandwich white bread on cheese. Let's go ahead and put in a formula here. In this formula, we're going to buy white bread. If we buy white bread and cheese, then what is that going to turn out to be? We're going to have that is equal to white bread is the cost of white bread is found in C4. So we can click on that. You just click on it, it gives you C4. The cost of white bread is C4. So if you need white bread and cheese, then you're going to have C4 plus cheese, and cheese is found in C8, and we'll click on 8. And when that is done and it's okay, we're going to hit on enter. So if we buy our white bread for the cost found in C4 and we buy cheese for the cost found in C8, then the total for having a sandwich of white bread and the cheese will be the cost of white bread plus the cost of cheese. And that is what we have entered here. That is C4 plus C8. That's a simple addition. Let's go ahead and check the next step. We have been asked to use autofill to replicate this formula across the row to calculate the calories, protein, carbs, and the fat content of the sandwich in row 18. Let's check out that. We've been asked to use autofill in row 18. It means that in row 18, let's use autofill to calculate for calories, protein, carbs, fats. It means that the calories that we are going to obtain from white bread and cheese. That means the protein will obtain from white bread and cheese. The carbs will obtain from white bread and cheese. And that's exactly what we've been asked to do. Now, we are not going to enter different formulas to calculate this. What we are going to do is to autofill the formula we have calculated for the cost of white bread and cheese. We take our mouse pointer to the bottom right of our active cell. We click, hold, and drag across. When we drag across to the right, we are auto-filling. Now, remember, look at that. Check that out and see how that turns out. It gives us okay. When it gives us okay, it means that we have done the right thing. Remember that when you do the right thing, you have okay as your result. Now we have okay. We have okay, and that is quite good, and that is normal. That's what we wanted. Let's go ahead and check out the next thing that we've been asked to do. We've been asked to repeat these steps to fill out all the cost and nutritional information for the other sandwiches in cells C19 to G22. When you have this colon sign, the colon is telling you from C19 to G22. Let's check that out. We've been asked to calculate also from C19 to G22. Now let's check out this. In C19, we have been asked to calculate the cost for cheese and tomato on white bread. That means we're going to say equal to white bread. We need white bread. We've been asked cheese. We're going to take cheese and tomatoes. We look for the cost of tomatoes. This is the cost of tomato plus again cheese. We have taken white bread plus tomato plus cheese. Now check that out. In your formula bar, we're going to have the cost of white bread plus the cost of tomato plus the cost of cheese. Then we hit on enter. When we hit on enter, we have the result. Then we need the calories, the protein, the carbs, the fat for cheese and tomatoes on white bread. Let's do autofill and see whether we're going to have okay in this our check box. Let's autofill that and see. We autofill and we have okay. That looks quite good. Go ahead and do it yourself until you have okay. Now, in this cell C20, we have been asked to calculate the cost for eggs and tomato with mustard on brown. Eggs, tomato with mustard on brown bread. That means 4 things together. So we have to say equal to. Equal to, we need the cost for x. This is the cost of x found in cell C10. Cost of x plus the cost of tomatoes. Tomato is found in cell C12. Remember, you can enter C12 or you select C12. Plus the cost of mustard. Mustard is found in cell C15. We click on that. And then plus brown bread. Brown bread is found in cell C5. We click on that and we hit enter. When we have our result, we also need to calculate the calories, protein, carbs, and fat for egg, tomato with mustard on brown bread. We're going to go ahead and use autofill. When we do autofill, we check out whether we have okay. We have okay, which means that is perfectly done and is in order. Again, we say equal to. This is ham and mustard on brown bread. So these are 3 things we need to bring together. The cost of 3 things. Where is ham? The cost of ham is found in C9. In C9, we have the cost of ham. That means C9 plus mustard. Mustard is found in C15 plus C15 plus brown bread, which is found in C5. We hit on enter. Then again, we're going to select that cell and use our autofill handle to carry that across. We replicate that to have the calories, protein, carbs, and fats. And when that is done, check that out. We have okay, and that is what we wanted to have. Let's go ahead and check out the last one. The last one is bacon, lettuce, and tomato with mayo on white. Many items there to bring together. There are 5 of them in total. Let's go ahead and enter equal to. When we put equal to, we have bacon. Where's bacon? Bacon is found in cell C. The cost of bacon is found in cell C11. We click on that. When we click on that, we hit plus. We have lettuce. Lettuce is found in cell C13. We hit on that and we hit plus again. Then we have plus tomato. Tomato is found in cell C12. We hit on that and we say plus again. Then we have with mayo on white. Mayo is found in cell C14. We hit on that and we say plus. And the final one is on white bread. We say plus white bread and we hit enter. Again, we're going to use autofill to replicate this across. When we replicate this across, check this out to see that we have okay here. Now we have okay and we are done with that exercise. Kindly go ahead and do it yourself until you have okay. Now let's go back and check the next exercise that we have been asked to do. The last exercise for today, we've been asked that in row 24, let's use the sum function to calculate the cost and nutritional information of all the sandwiches for the week. Let's go ahead and check out this. In the row 24,
In row 24, we have the total for the week. We need to have the total for all these our sandwiches for the week. We have the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday sandwiches here. Now let's have the total cost. We'll have the total cost, the total calories for the week, the total protein for the week, the total carbs for the week, and the total fat for the week. Let's go ahead and check that out. The total for the week will be equal to Monday plus cost for Tuesday plus cost for Wednesday plus cost for Thursday plus cost for Friday. All right? And we hit on enter. Now, when we hit on enter, it tells us that there is a problem with our formula. That's because we have a plus at the end. Let's remove that plus at the end and we hit enter again. When we hit enter again, it gives us a response. And that is okay. We can use our autofill handle to replicate this across and check whether we have a okay. We have okay. That means that has been done very well. Alternatively, we can use the sum function. Remember that in this case, we have used the plus sign to do simple addition, but we can use the sum function. We're going to see how to use functions in our subsequent lesson. Right, go ahead yourself and try this out. Ensure that you do it as you're supposed to do it, and make sure that you're enjoying using your Excel.